Good morning, everyone. I will call this Board of Fire Commissioners meeting to order. It is May 20th at 9 a.m. We'll start with a salute to the flag. If Chief Way could please lead us.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We'll now do our roll call. Madam Clerk.
Alexis Hill, Chair.
Here.
Jeannie Herman, Vice Chair, is absent. Michael Clark.
Present.
Mary Luz Garcia is absent. Clara Andriola.
Present.
Interim Fire Chief Dale Way.
present.
Deputy District Attorney Michael Large.
Present.
I'm Chief Deputy Clerk Kathy Smith. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. We'll now move into public comment. Chief Way.
Item number 3 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the Board of Fire Commissioners' agenda. The district will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the Board of Fire Commissioners as a whole.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk.
No one is signed in.
Okay, we'll now move into item 4. Chief Way again.
Item number 4, Commissioners and Fire Chiefs announcements, requests for information, topics for future agendas, and statements relating to items not on the agenda. No discussion among commissioners will take place on this item.
And do you have anything for us, Chief?
I do.
Okay.
Our pickup truck that was taken yesterday was subsequently found in the North Valleys and returned to us. Washoe County Sheriff's has performed an investigation and is still searching for a potential suspect.
Well, that's great news. And we learned we must lock the vehicle at all times, no matter what.
Yes.
Any other announcements for us, Chief?
No.
Okay, Commissioner Andriola and Commissioner Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've got a few questions about the missing truck. Was that stolen? Was it borrowed? Did somebody loan it out? Did it have the keys in it? How do these kind of things happen?
This incident yesterday occurred as the fuels management crew was setting up for the day. They were within 50 feet of the vehicle as they were setting out all their materials for the day when someone came in behind them. And yes, obviously the keys were in the vehicle at the moment.
So did they see this person?
I believe they did see them. I don't know how briefly. I don't have all of those details at the moment. That I'm sure that they've spoken with Washoe County Sheriffs to try and help find a suspect in this.
Were they in some sort of disguise? Were they impersonating a firefighter? What were they wearing?
I don't know that answer.
Could you find out? Was it a male or female?
I believe the subject was male.
Did anybody recognize this person?
I don't believe so.
And I saw video of it on the news last night, and I saw a Highway Patrol car right behind it, and yet it got away. So I'm just wondering what are some more details? What really happened?
I was told that NSP had to call off the chase because of the erratic driving.
But we'll have it sounds like we're going to have a police report on it.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move into item 5 and go ahead, Chief Way.
Item number 5 is a recommendation to approve the minutes for the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Board of Fire Commissioners concurrent meeting from February 6, 2025.
Okay, looking for any changes to those minutes or a motion from the board? Commissioner Andriola.
Move to approve.
Thank you so much. Looking for a second. Commissioner Clark, are you going to second that?
Sure.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any public comment, Madam Clerk?
There is none.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. It's on your screen. And that motion passes unanimously. We'll now move into item 6.
Item number 6 is International Association Firefighters Local 2487 report for discussion only. I don't see any members present today.
Okay, unless any board members have any comments on this item, I'll move to item 7. I'm not seeing that we do. All right, Chief, back to item 7.
Item number 7 is a recommendation to approve resolutions TM 05-2025, authorizing the redefining of the district's capital projects fund, and TM 06-2025, authorizing the creation of an additional capital projects fund to be known as the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Extraordinary Maintenance, Repairs, or Improvements Capital Projects Fund, pursuant to NRS 354.612 and defined by NRS 354.6113 and NRS 354.6105, and designate revenues for the funding of capital projects and major repairs, maintenance, and improvements for possible action.
Thank you very much. It looks like Ms. Vance is here.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cindy Vance for the record, Chief Fiscal Officer. So these are the two capital projects funds we had discussed last time in the budget, and we'll go over further too in the budget presentation. This establishes two types of capital projects fund. One, a construction in progress that can be only used for large projects that take a time period to build and last for more than 1 year, usually 5 to 20. And then the extraordinary repairs and maintenance, and that would be for large maintenance programs, HVACs, upgrades to facilities that are deemed necessary, repairs to asphalt and such. We run one capital projects that basically has both of these, but it was formed in 1979, so even the NRS that it was formed under is no longer existent, and they're considered committed resources. This would take them under the newer NRS as restricted. They can only be used for that, which is important. And we also have dedicated revenues. That way we can budget and create a long-term capital plan. We do see the need to actually grow those percentages over time. So the capital projects fund, the CIP, construction in progress one, will start at 4%, which is what we included in the fiscal year 26 budget, and then over the next 9 years grow up to 7%, which was our amount that we would ideally like for the different types of the costs for apparatus and facilities and such. And then the extraordinary repairs and maintenance, especially as our facilities get older, starting at just 0.75% and growing up to 2% in the next 5 years.
Great. Okay. Looking to the board to see if there's any questions or comments on this. I'm not seeing any questions or comments. Chief, do you have anything to add?
Just wanted to add that these are funds that I believe will make the long-term sustainability of the district for fiscal matters.
Right. I think this is why we are still the envy of the region, because we can improve on our capital assets. So this will keep us on track, it sounds like. So thank you for this plan. With that, Madam Clerk, is there any public comment on item 7?
No, but I see Commissioner Clark just
Yes, Commissioner Clark?
added his name.
I just want to note that there is a representative here now from the Firefighters Union, item 6, so maybe
I'll
we
bring
can
it
go
back.
to that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Any other comments on item 7? Not seeing any. I am looking for a motion. Commissioner Andriola.
I'll move to approve resolutions TM 05-2025, authorizing the redefining of the district's capital projects fund, and TM 06-2025, authorizing the creation of an additional capital projects fund to be known as the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District Extraordinary Maintenance, Repair, or Improvements Capital Projects Funds pursuant to NRS 354.612 and defined by NRS 354.6113 and NRS 354.6105, and designate revenues for the funding of capital projects and major repairs, maintenance, and improvements.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And that motion passes unanimously. We'll go back up to item 6. Chief Way.
Item 6 is the International Association of Firefighters, Local 2487 report.
Thank you for bringing that back. Jim Clauser, President, Local 2487. Apologies for my delay. I was helping someone find the feeding program or the food program. It took me a little longer than I thought to help them, so I apologize for that. Nothing to report. I'm just here to listen and learn.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the president? No? Thank you so much for your time. Okay, I will now move into our public hearing. Item number 8, we'll open the public hearing, and Chief Way.
Item number 8 is a public hearing, discussion and possible action on the Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District tentative budget to the adoption of the final budget for fiscal year 2025-2026. This item may be continued to Tuesday, May 27th at 9 a.m. Estimated fiscal year 25-26 general fund revenues are $54,901,454, and estimated general fund expenditures are $53,793,570. The proposed budget also includes expenses from the following 8 other funds: capital projects funds, $16,026,291. Extraordinary repairs and maintenance fund, $196,000. Emergency fund, $1,500,000. Sick annual and comp benefits fund, $904,000. Stabilization fund, $550,000. Debt service fund, $1,314,629. Workers' Comp Internal Service Proprietary Fund, $507,500, and Emergency Medical Services Enterprise Proprietary Fund, $6,150,673.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, Ms. Vance.
Good morning. I did prepare this fairly the same slides as 2 weeks ago, since it is a public hearing, but I do see that it's all Truckee Meadows and people here. But I can go through the slides again and point out some of the changes. But
Yeah, I see some changes
Okay.
in the staff report from the last time
Okay.
that we discussed this, so maybe you can highlight those for us. That would be great.
perfect. Okay. We did not change our general fund or revenues. There was some rounding differences that were corrected, so we are still looking at $54,901,000 in revenues, with 76% coming from property taxes and consolidated taxes. Salaries and wages, these are the same as we presented a couple weeks ago. The salaries do include the creation of one position, which is the executive manager position. So it has been being paid for, but we did have it reassessed as the district in our policy for admin. We use Korn Ferry to make sure of our salary, since the admin is not negotiated. So that does include that position in here, and it also excludes paying for that position to Washoe County. So we are projecting a beginning fund balance of $5.3 million, revenues of $54.9 million, expenditures of $53.8 million, and other financing uses, including contingency of just over $4 million. One of the revenue, the big, with the revenues, our biggest flexible revenue is our fuels revenues, because we get additional admin fees, but it depends on what they do, and they work between federal programs and like NV Energy or U.S. Forest Service, where we get to charge a premium rate for salaries, where with federal they're restricted to only cost recovery. So that is where we're hoping that maybe we'll get a little bit more revenues, but it depends on their work projects. So we don't know what they'll work on or the percentage. So this is based on about a 50-50 split. So if it ends up more into the services type, those revenues could be a bit higher. Because, again, our anticipated significant items are capital projects, our consolidated taxes that are not really flat or very minimal increases, negotiated employee contracts, and our PERS increase. We did review, go through all of our cost centers and try to cut some more. We looked really heavily at admin, but the admin costs are mostly not, like, they're not employee rated. They're costs for CowCap, which is our cost allocation plan to the county. So we pay about $1 million, and these are all contracts. Telestaff, which is our scheduling software, is $32,000. Our REMSA contract is in there, and that's at just over $700,000. Our financial audit, what we pay for our radio budget, the operating radio budget contribution to the group of entities, and then our OPEB plan, so those, which is just based on ADC. So most of those are all just contract for the benefit of the district as a whole, and since they're under contract and we have to have them, we can't really change the value. We did cut stuff like cleaning at Barron Way. We went through and reduced everything down just like everybody else to prior year's costs, and then reducing office supplies and everything. But it does include still our two fire prevention positions that we'll keep for half a year open, the one mechanic position. And honestly, that mechanic position has actually been open all of fiscal year 25 also. So it was originally added because under the previous agreement with NV Energy, they were going to pay for a full-time mechanic, and then they changed their agreement, so we never filled it, but we do charge NV Energy for the mechanic when it's necessary.
And we have a mechanic.
We have
multiple.
Four
mechanics.
Four mechanics,
Yeah.
3 mechanics and a supervisor.
And this would be the 5th if
Correct.
it was grant funded. So it's not right?
Correct.
I mean, ideally.
Yeah, originally it was set up to be funded through an outside agency that was pulled. And then the 4 firefighter positions just from attrition, and the 3 captain positions again from attrition, but they were floating positions that we won't use, which does take away from being able to use that 4th person on the engines at stations 40 and 42, and then our pause on the programs. Extra program budgets for wet, hazmat, dozer, REMS, and ACT. It doesn't mean we won't use the training. We still have a training budget to provide training for those entities. 1 year pause on green waste, pause on the fall recruit class because we're not intending to hire, and then just smaller things, cell phones, cleaning, and supplies and such, miscellaneous costs. So we've gone through and discussed if revenues are better than anticipated, the first thing we need to do is try to get back to that 12% ending fund balance so that when we end the year, we're not in a cash flow problem. And then the 4th person, staffing on engines in 4042 and reinstating the green waste programs were our 3 top priorities. This goes through the capital projects funds we just discussed, which I'm not going to go through, and there's no changes. In our capital projects funds, we have our Apple, which includes the revenue and the expenditures for it, and our portion, which is just over $1 million. And then we have 3 engines that we ordered 3 years ago. Okay. Which goes through those. This one did change a bit because we had a person that had planned on retiring in the current fiscal year moved to after July 1st. So the projected ending balance is pretty much the same. We'll start with a projected beginning balance that's a little bit higher, but we'll have expenditures that are more because it'll come into fiscal year 26 as opposed to 25. Emergency fund, which is just a replenishment. We anticipating spending our $1.5 million that we're allowed to have in there and recovering all of it. Okay. Stabilization fund can only be used if there is if our revenues fall short, and we keep about $600,000 in there, and then budget about $500 just in case. Debt service obligations, we have the 4 obligations, $4 million, which total is just about $1.3 million, and that's all we put in there is the 1-year debt service requirement. And the medium term will expire or be paid off in 2030, the $2 million general obligation 2035, the $7 million general obligation is 2046, and the Nevada State Investment Bank, the newest one, is 2049. Emergency Medical Services Fund, we didn't make any changes for this. It is our only business type fund, salary and benefits for 4 permanent staff, plus 18 rotating ambulance staff. And they do have to account for their accruals for OPEB, PERS, depreciation, and compensated absences, unlike the general fund. Okay. Beginning net position is estimated at 2.6, and this includes non-cash liabilities in there with the PERS and OPEB. Operating revenue is 3.7. Operating expenses are about 6.1. The PERS and OPEB are considered operating expenses, so those, and depreciation. Net operating income 2.5, with non-operating income about 9,000 in investment, with the ending position of 223. I know the EMS is working closely with Medicaid for the GEMT, and that is a question on where that will be in the future. So next year we might be, whether we talk about, where we're taking that fund, and that program will highly depend on that GEMT program. Mm-hmm. Okay. Workers' comp, again, this is just for payment for heart and lung claims to the city of Reno for prior TM employees. Okay. And that was a quick re-summarization. Is there any specific questions? I did bring a org chart if we need it, but I have that on the side if you guys want it, a detailed one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will throw it over to the board. Commissioner Andriola.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering, what is the policy in terms of the percentage of fund balance?
We do not have a written policy, and we should bring one, and I would recommend 12%.
I saw that, and I'm really glad that you're looking at bringing that, because I couldn't find anything, so yes. I didn't know if I was missing it.
No.
But Madam Chair, I think it's something that we should be looking at. So I'd like to make that request when it's appropriate.
Okay. Yes.
The other question I have is, the position then is just a wash, right?
It is slightly higher than what we are paying Washoe County, yeah.
Oh, it's slightly higher?
It is higher, about $10,000, I think,
okay.
15.
And it's higher because?
It does do more than originally
so reevaluating
done. Yeah, we reevaluated it. It is a position that manages the whole office. They have also done all the different, when we need like the upgrades and everything, like the arranging for IT refreshes, facility upgrades within Barron Way, making sure all the offices are where they need to be. So there has been a lot more added to that position, and monitoring that position is going to be monitoring the admin budget too.
Okay, well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the last meeting we had here, the last fire board meeting, we talked about the office manager and reclassification, and I asked specifically, it was going to be about an extra, if my memory serves me right, an extra $15,200 a year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't know if we approved that the last meeting, but it looks like we might be approving it if we approve this budget by having it inserted in this particular item here in the budget. That's the first comment I want to make. Secondly, I'm really concerned about pausing on the green waste. Very concerned about that. The savings that we're going to have by pausing on the green waste versus the cost of just one fire. I just think that's being a bit irresponsible. I think there should be a way to figure out how we can at the very least, collect the green waste and store it. I know where I am down in Washoe Valley, they have a large field there. Maybe not process it. Maybe there's some savings in not processing it this year, but at least getting the green waste off of the individual properties throughout the counties. And as I pointed out last week, as I look down the dais, I look at, there's a lot of rural properties in my district. There certainly is in Commissioner Andriola's district. We've got a lot of areas up in the Chair's district and certainly in Sun Valley and certainly in Commissioner Herman's district. So all 5 districts could be in potential harm if we don't get some of this green waste hauled away from the specific lot. So that's a real concern for me. I think it was in the $90,000 range. Is that about right for green waste? We ought to be able to find at least half of that just so we can collect the green waste and pile it up and grind it up next year, process it at a later date. So that's a real concern for me. Green waste and having folks have the opportunity to do their own defensible space, and all they need is a little help of disposing of the green waste that they may create. So that's an issue for me.
Okay, Chief Kettering.
For the record, Chris Ketching, Draco Meadows Fire. Yes, sir. I did hear you at the last meeting, and I instructed Chief Eisenhagen to put together for the next commissioner meeting all the alternatives that we can do for green waste, and then we'll also see where we are budgetarily throughout the year, and if we can do it in the fall, then that's what we'll do. But he's going to come at the next meeting and provide all the different avenues and alternatives that individuals can use with the green waste not being available this year.
Again, it's I need to hear about it before I vote on the budget. It'd be nice to hear about it next year, but this is an ongoing issue. Fire safety is top of mind awareness with LA and the Davis Creek, and it's a big deal. And I think percentage-wise, your numbers, people. Percentage-wise, in the scheme of the whole budget, $90,000 is a small percentage, and we ought to be able to find a way to make that work somehow. Thank you.
Is there a way we could, because I'd like to approve the budget today, is there a way that you could look at modified operations like Commissioner Clark is suggesting? I know it's a cash flow problem for us this year, and I think you're being conservative because we have higher personnel expenses now, and we need to make sure we pay our people. So I think that's like the balance that you're looking at. So what is your thought on, I know this is on the fly, but on something like that?
Good.
One of the items that we built into the budget is our contingency fund. So that has $400,000. So given the different options that Augie comes back with, we can, even at that meeting, allocate some of those funds to those options as determined. So we could adopt the budget as is with that $400,000 and then reallocate those as needed for the different programs and the different options. That we have.
Commissioner Clark, do you feel comfortable with that?
No.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Andriola.
I, to share, looking at the green waste, and I'm sure Chief Kettering can confirm this, but I know I can, because waste management is actually, to a certain extent, ramping up their green waste. They realize that the pause on this is in place. I spoke with Waste Management, and in fact, they just recently in April had promoted some additional green waste collections. So there is alternatives, just to be really clear that it's not just TM. that there are, and I think Chief Kettering, that's what you were talking about, is providing with those resources. But I just know for a fact that Waste Management is actually not only doing it, but continuing to do it, and recognizes TM's pause on the program and wants to ensure that they can do what they can help the community as well in all of our districts. And so I'm just saying that I followed up with that and tried to help spread the word on what Waste Management is doing. So I just thought I'd add that piece of information that may or may not be helpful, but I found it to be really a community-minded opportunity. They realize, not that they're not also looking at trying to streamline things, but they didn't want that to just go away. They have a program, they've had a program, and they're ramping that up. So wanted to make sure everyone knew.
Yeah, and I think, the staff hear the concerns loud and clear from the dais that this is a major concern for us, and we want our communities to be able to easily get rid of their green waste. And so I feel comfortable with a staff report next month and knowing we have contingency, but I want to be smart about this and thoughtful, and I know that this budget has been combed through by the staff and something that has been managed, and so I feel comfortable moving forward. But Commissioner Clark, I want to hear from you.
Sure. I appreciate that Waste Management is trying to be good citizens and helping with however they may be able to help. But they're a private operation. They've got shareholders, they've got stockholders, they've got things that they're doing as a private entity. That being said, this is Truckee Meadows Fire District. This is funded by 76% of your budget, comes approximately 76%, I think, if my memory serves me, by the property owners and taxpayers in this county. And those are the folks that we need to be serving. We can't rely on outside entities to clean up after ourselves. This is something that should have been a top priority when the budget was first formulated, and never even considered to be put on the back burner. In my opinion, this isn't an extra as far as I'm concerned. This is fire prevention. Fire prevention is just by the definition, we're trying to prevent fires. And so this should have been a top of mind awareness for the budget folks there. And I'm not convinced that we're going to go back and find it later. That kind of stuff doesn't happen.
I appreciate your passion.
Listen, come on.
No, I would love to hear your motion.
Please do not interrupt me.
Go ahead.
Okay. I give you that courtesy. There's so many times I'd love to interrupt you, but I always bite my tongue. But you don't seem to have that control. Please don't interrupt me.
But Commissioner Clark, today we can make changes to this budget. So if you want to make a motion to add back the green waste program, with the rest of the...
That's what I'd like to do. I would like to add back the green waste at full funding, whatever it was last year, do the exact same thing this year.
Okay.
Okay?
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Thank you. Looking for a second?
Second.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, is there any public comment? This is a public hearing.
There is none.
Okay. With the motion and a second, is that something that you guys can execute for us?
Quick question for clarification, Madam Chair. The motion, as I understand, is that we're going to reduce the contingency fund by $90,000 to fund the green waste, because green waste was funded at $90,000, correct?
Yes.
So the motion would be, just for clarification and for budgetary purposes, we would be passing the budget as currently written, with the augmentation that it would be reducing the contingency fund from $400,000 to $310,000, and $90,000 being dedicated to the green waste funding.
That is what I understand, yes.
Is that what
Commissioner
you want?
Clark, is that what you understood?
Correct.
All right. And Commissioner Andriola, yes. Okay. And just for discussion, since we have got that motion on the table, is this something that you
Yes.
think we can roll with?
Correct. Yes, we
Okay.
can.
All right.
I do have one question, and it might be, since the document is in here to be signed, I need to make that correction on the document that goes to the state. I can just make that quick change and provide it back to the commissioners, correct?
Yes, that would be my recommendation. If this passes, then we'll on the sign, we will have it back after you make those corrections.
Yes.
You let me know, I'll come in and sign it.
Okay.
I
Thank
believe
you.
all commissioners have.
All of us.
All have.
Okay,
Everybody
we'll
has
be
to sign.
available.
Everyone that's here needs to sign it, yes.
Okay, great. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the budget. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And Commissioner Clark, so you made the motion and you said no?
That was, I thought we were voting on the complete budget. Is we voting on the complete budget here?
Yes.
Okay. I have other concerns with the complete budget. That was just one item that I wanted to change. So I have one more concern. And I
Okay.
brought it up initially, and
Well,
I'd like-
just for the record, the motion dies.
Yes.
So Commissioner Clark, go ahead.
I'm still concerned with our last meeting, this reclassification and an extra $15,000 in payroll. And I'd like to see that changed, clarified that we're not going to reclassify this position and we're not going to pay the extra $15,000 in salary. So that was my other concern with this budget. So if you want my vote on this budget, there's two things I want. I want the green waste, and I want to see this reclassification happen next year, not this year.
The following fiscal year.
Correct.
How will the mechanism of that work, Ms. Vance? Is there a position that would come back over to TM at a lower rate since we're currently reimbursing Washoe County?
I believe we would stay just reimbursing
Washoe County for the
Washoe
year?
County, so that position would stay in there unless we've gotten a notice from Washoe County that they have to have it moved out, which I don't believe we have.
No.
So we
Good
can continue as is through
Okay.
through the fiscal year, and we can reduce salaries and benefits by $15,000.
Okay. So Commissioner Clark, with that, are you willing to make a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I am. With those two modifications, and I'd be willing to accept the budget.
And do you mind seconding it, Commissioner Andriel, and then you can
I'll second.
discuss? Okay, thank you for the second. All right, go ahead on discussion.
For discussion, I'm confused a little, and I realize the motion and second's on the table. But when I had asked earlier if it was just essentially like a wash, I don't understand why it can't go back over to TM, and that the position has been, it sounded like you were looking at pulling that position into TM because it belongs into TM, and I don't understand why it can't be given the current motion that's on the table. That is really confusing to me.
It may be possible, and we can keep it at that, and we can bring that back. But I would need HR to discuss that on how that mechanism of creating that position and pulling it in the assessment of it.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If it so pleases the chair, maybe the Commissioner Clark could amend his motion contingent upon HR and having that clearly defined in the motion, because in my opinion, it belongs in TM. It hasn't been in TM. Moving it to TM, we'll keep it in TM.
Correct.
And then moving forward, those considerations can be applied. I'll also defer to Mr. Large, but I feel like that needs to be clarified in the motion.
Okay, and Commissioner Clark, yes?
I've signed in, just so everybody's clear, and to clarify my thought processes here, how can you possibly consider it a wash when it involves a $15,200 a year raise? There's no way that's a wash. So,
I'm sorry, I misspoke. I meant that it for
no,
number
I'm
of
talking
positions.
to I'm talking
I'm
to my
sorry.
other commissioner here, when she wants to know why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking, and she heard you say it's a wash. It should be at Truckee Meadows, and it should be at the existing rate, and not. It can't possibly be a wash if it's a $15,200, whatever the dollar amount is, pay raise. So that's my concern.
So I'm agreeing with you.
All right.
The great
look at
news
that.
is I'm agreeing with you. You made the motion, I agreed with you. By making the second, I'm asking for additional clarification from you to consider the clarification of putting it in TM, not changing any of the value of the, in other words, the position, as you made the motion, would stay in its current pay. I'm just asking that it be in the TM payroll and not in Washoe County. That's all.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Again,
Okay, great.
yeah,
We
it's
agree.
just,
Thanks.
It isn't a wash if it's involving a pay raise. So that,
Right. But I did-
whoever pays it, immaterial, I'm just trying to avoid a pay raise on this.
No, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the clarification, Commissioner Clark. I asked if it was a wash, it was answered, and then I just was going by that. So thank you for diving in deep. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and DA Large, just do you want to clarify the motion for us, just to make sure everything's
So
clean?
my understanding is based on Commissioner Clark's comments on this position, it will be reclassified to Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District from Washoe County as an executive assistant, because that's how it's currently classed with Human Resources.
I would have to clarify that
The transfer would
with.
be
yes,
like for
yes.
like in terms of the current payroll for Washoe County in the position as executive assistant would be transferred to Truckee Meadows, but the salary would not be increased. There would not be a new executive office manager position created at this point.
Yes.
So fiscally, it would be the exact same number as we had from the prior year.
With
Plus-
its,
with the
with the
COLAs.
correct, yes, correct.
And the green waste is also part of that motion.
Correct.
Okay, and Commissioner Clark, you agree to that as stated on the record?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I do.
Okay, and Commissioner Andriola as a seconder, you agree? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now move into item 9, Chief Way.
Item number 9 is Commissioners, Fire Chiefs announcements, requests for information, topics for future agendas, and statements relating to items not on the agenda. No discussion among commissioners will take place on this item.
Do you have anything else for us, Chief Way?
I do not.
Okay, Commissioner Andriola. Commissioner Clark.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. One follow-up question on the pickup truck that was taken from the county. That I believe that was done in a county location, and I believe that the truck was recovered in a county location. So my question now is, Washoe County Sheriff's Department, are they involved in the investigation at this point in time?
They are conducting the investigation.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move into item 10, our final public comment. Chief Way.
Item number 10 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the Board of Fire Commissioners' agenda. Comment will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and comments are to be made to the Board of Fire Commissioners as a whole.
Madam Clerk, any public comment?
No one assigned in.
All right. With that, we are adjourned, and thank you, everyone, for a great meeting.